following video is brought to you by STORYBLOCKS. Filming in a studio can be a daunting experience for a new cinematographer because you have to make all the lighting happen yourself. There's no help from the sun. So come along as I show you some of the tips I've learned over the years. Okay, the clients all just left the studio. We just wrapped with our shoot this morning and it's 11:30 in the morning. It's pretty quick. We're in Phoenix, Arizona, and we rented a studio for a day for a client shoot. This is real-world filmmaking. This is our bread and butter. We just filmed a PSA, and we used our lights to create a mood in this space to fit the messaging. This video that we just filmed is gonna be all over TV in Arizona in just a few weeks. And frankly, it's not that complicated. There are very simple lighting principles that we're dealing with here. And today I'm gonna show you how we did this. When we first came into the space, we assessed the situation. What do we like? What do we not like? We wanted a very serious tone for this ad. So we looked around and we found this brick wall and we thought, hey, let's make that work. Come over here with me. Even though we just wanted the subject to be against the wall, it would have been a crime for us to put the subject this close to the wall. There would have been no shallow depth of field, and you wouldn't have had a sense of scope. The reason why the camera is way across the other side of the room is when the subject is really up close to the wall, you run out of options really quick. Shadows become a situation really quick. Now this was a large studio, so we had a lot of options, but in the real world, we usually find ourselves filming in very small rooms. If the camera and the camera operator are squished in the corner, chances are the shot looks pretty good. Rooms just look better and bigger when the camera's in the corner of the room. The camera was the first thing we set up. I found the position that I liked and I found the focal length that I liked. After the camera was placed in this spot, the next thing we did was place our subject and mark where the subject will be standing. Come over here. This is actually extremely important on the ground right here. This is a T. Once the relationship between the camera, the subject, and the background is established, then comes our first and most important light source, the key light. When I think of a key light, I think of the old master painters, like Rembrandt and Vermeer. They would place their subjects next to a large light source, like a window. In this instance, we used a brand new light from Aputure that we absolutely love. We decided to place the light at about a 50 to 60 degree angle from the subject for a dramatic look. And using this big giant light dome, we were able to achieve a very soft light. Come over on this side here. This is a grid. We placed this on it because we wanted to control the soft light. We didn't want it spilling onto the background. In fact, I'm gonna turn off all of these lights and one by one show you what each light is doing. So let's kill the house lights and I'm gonna kill the backlights and the effect lights. Before we move on, I want to talk to you about STORYBLOCKS. The ad that we're filming in this studio actually is 80% stock footage. We use stock footage in so many of our projects. STORYBLOCKS is great for creators because they're constantly adding new content that's demand-driven. STORYBLOCKS has over 1 million unique assets, including stock footage, motion graphic templates, and more. STORYBLOCKS is great for large and small projects. It's a pay-per-month model, which makes it easy when you're downloading lots of different clips for a project. And there's no more complicated paperwork like other sites. STORYBLOCKS makes licensing these stock footage assets easy. If you're a creator like us and you make content, then you need a subscription to STORYBLOCKS. Check out storyblocks.com/epiclightmedia to learn more. The only light that's on in this space is this big key light, and you can see exactly what it's doing. We positioned this light to be able to hit this side of the face and then spill over a little bit and hit this side of the face as well. You may notice now that the background is completely black. This light is not affecting that background at all. After the key light is in position like this, my next priority is placing the backlight. The backlight has been mounted on a big stand behind the subject, arcing over. It's hitting my shoulders, it's hitting the back of my head, it's separating me from that background. It's adding shape to the image, and this is just classic lighting. When using a backlight, it's important to use it in a natural way. For example, place the subject in front of a window or a natural light source so the audience believes that the backlight is real. A backlight does add a lot of shape to an image, but many times you don't have to use a backlight at all. I'm going to admit to you right now that I use a backlight way too often. It's an overused tool for me, and I'm trying to improve. I really am. Now, this lighting was specifically placed for a woman with blonde hair. Right now, this isn't exactly what I would do, but it's the same settings that we had earlier. And here's what we were filming. Now, the backlight is the Aputure 300D Mark II on a combo boom pole from Impact. But what I really like about this setup is this new softbox from Aputure, the C120. And it has a grid on it, and we get this soft, long source. Traditionally, we would have to raise the backlight up even higher if we were using a big, large softbox. And we're able to get it closer to the subject with this flat edge right out of frame. And it is spilling into camera a little bit, but I kind of like that effect. I don't like to control my lights too much. I like to just let things happen. I'm weird like that. After the backlight, we placed a bounce on this side of the face so we could control this shadow side of my face. So what's happening here is the key light is bouncing off of this bounce. See that exposure on my side of the face? It just raised up, and it's all because of this. What we're doing is controlling the light on the far side of my face here. Sometimes people use an additional light to do that. I like to use a bounce because it's a big natural source, and it just means less equipment and less time. The last ingredient for my lighting in this area is this, what I call a chin card. This is used in photography quite often, and this controls the exposure on the underside of my face and my chin. I have deep set eyes, so something like this can really help me. It brings life into the bottom part here. Also in this studio, the floor is dark, and this just adds an additional ambiance coming from underneath me that you would expect in a natural space. So that's the lighting on me, but there's actually a lot more going on here. Behind me, to illuminate the background with the Aputure P600C, I'm gonna turn it on now so you can see what it does. So now we're just getting a hint of that brick wall, which is what we wanted. We wanted a very dark look. Next, we used our Aputure Novas on the side to have a police presence. So now as I speak, there's a little bit of an effect. The effect is very mild. We could have gone much more heavy-handed with this, but we wanted the client and everyone involved to be happy. Sometimes when you have effects like this, you really have to dial them in so everyone's on the same page and no one thinks it's overdone. Just for reference, these Novas are at like 5% brightness. These lights are so powerful, you don't really have to do much in a space like this. The last ingredient here was a little bit of atmospheric haze that I'm going to apply right now. What we have here is haze in a can. I love these things. For quick shots, when you don't really have to do very long takes, this is all you need. You use haze in a can. What I'm doing now is I'm just kind of incorporating this into the atmosphere here. Now we got the feel that we're going for the PSA. All right, here we go. Now I can talk about something serious and you'll believe me because the lighting is fantastic. So I hope you enjoyed this video where we talked through where the camera was, where the lights were for me and the background lights and what they're doing. If you have any questions about the setup, please ask me in the comments. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, go ahead and subscribe to another YouTube channel. Not this one.